Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the Barbells, Burgers and Bitching podcast, a podcast specifically designed to talk about all things training, food, nutrition. I say food and nutrition separately because we talk about good food and then we talk about health. And everything that we wish was done a little differently, perhaps with the industry, or maybe what the industry doesn't tell you. So jumping straight into it, this is actually the second time we are having to record this because of some technical errors. Please keep us in your prayers right now that this doesn't break because we really don't have time to restart again. Moving swiftly on, training versus exercise, we're going to be talking about what's the difference, why you need to be considering the differences, why you might not be seeing progress in your training right now, how to actually effectively train, the mindset shifts behind it, and then some key takeaways so you can actually use this podcast productively in your own lifestyle.
Are we going to do the thing that we did last time? The X?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. So, as you know, every episode we like to start off with some sort of a question or some sort of poll if we've asked that on the Instagram stories. So this one is going to be, we decided, what is your gimmick? Like, what is your top gimmick? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you're like, ugh, I hate that if I walk into a gym and see someone doing it?
Ego lifting.
Ego lifting.
Yeah. I think that's the big umbrella term is ego lifting, and then specific. Well, there's a few, isn't there? There's bicep curls where people look like they're fucking the air to try and move the bar up because they're using too much weight. When it's like half that weight, do it with good form. You can still get to failure, but actually working your bicep rather than everything else. But half repping on bench press and just presses in general. I mean, everything needs context. Like if there's a reason that you can't do full range, then fair enough. But I think a lot of the time it's not because of the reason. It's just because they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. Ego lifting on rows. Like again, there's some exercises where you need to, but like.
No, I don't think there's. Nobody needs to ego lift. Yeah, but that's not ego lifting.
No,
that's the exercise.
That's the exercise, isn't it? Yeah. Would you say powerlifting's ego lifting?
No, but
we're trying to lift the heaviest we can.
Yeah, on the competition platform, sometimes you definitely see a bit of ego lifting, especially with some people's openers choices. Like, my God,
that's not ego lifting. That's stupidity.
Yeah, but people are like, oh, I can open on this weight, and then it's either like an RP9 on their first lift, or they can't even hit their opener, and then you're like, you fucked it. You've literally fucked your entire competition. We're not going to go on that though, because that is a tangent that I could definitely talk about.
What's yours?
My gimmick. So the first thing that comes to mind when I think of gimmick is people squatting with a barbell pad on the bar. And then on from that, because it's the same reason, is when people are doing any sort of lower body exercise in soled shoes or like running shoes. It really irks me because for both reasons are the same, because it's just making your life difficult with such a simple swap. Like if you're using the barbell pad on the barbell because you think the barbell hurts your back, you've either not got it positioned right, it might be just a little bit too high up on your neck, or you just need to build some fucking tissue so you create that natural cushion there. Like just I wouldn't even recommend wearing a hoodie, but like wearing some sort of clothing that is a little bit thicker perhaps than just bare skin is probably going to be better. And it's also not going to mean that, the bar could sit incorrectly on your back or it could roll or anything, because again, that's not only like making life harder, but it's also low-key dangerous, especially if you're dealing with heavier weights. And then the same with lower body exercises. What we said before on the first attempt at this episode is that if you didn't care about that enough, if I said to you, is your goal to grow a fat ass? Is it to grow thick quads? If the answer's yes, be training in either flat-soled shoes or just your feet. Like, take your shoes off. Get the dogs out, is what you said.
Get the dogs out.
Make sure you put your socks on because hygiene.
I could name drop someone.
What? Who doesn't barefoot?
No, you don't do it. The guy who created the Bosu ball.
Oh.
David.
Oh, that's what I was saying, actually.
Yeah, that's something. It's like, don't basically squat on a trampoline or wear the right footwear so you're not squatting on a trampoline.
Yeah, so you essentially training or like doing any sort of lower body exercises in those types of shoes is like trying to do it on, you might as well just do it on a fucking Bosu ball, which is like those you may have seen in the gym, like, how do you describe a Bosu ball? It's like those flat almost like a half a yoga ball with like a flat surface that you can stand on and you just wobble everywhere.
Quick side note, anyone that thinks that training on that is, well, for like strength training is good, it's wrong.
Stability.
Unstable surfaces mean that you can't, there's less force production. So you're actually weaker on an unstable surface. So if you try and justify using a BOSU ball for strength training purposes, you're an idiot. Like, I suppose there could be stuff with like rehabbing and maybe like proprioception. Maybe.
Yeah.
But also the guy who created it, David Weck. Go and check his Instagram out.
Alex's favourite bit.
Bit of a clown. He's like someone let their granddad out. You know, like you and kids do, like going like upside down on stuff. And you're like, Mum, Dad, look at me, and they're doing like all this random shit. That's him.
Right. Side note: I want to know if anyone else does this, so let us know in the comments below. But Alex has this really toxic trait of going onto people's Instagram pages who he knows he hates and who he knows like produces really dog shit content and triggering content for him anyway, and he just binges it. He'll just scroll and scroll and scroll. He'll keep looking at all the content and he gets angry. And I'm like, why? You know, nothing on there is going to either A, help you with your own work, it's not going to inspire you, it's not going to give you any kind of like benefit other than spike your blood pressure and just make you get really angry. But you do it anyway. It's like it's like your dopamine hit. You're thinking like, oh, I'm just feeling a bit bored, or I just want like a bit of a hit.
It is my toxic
I'm
trait.
going to go and like binge Dave Weck's.
It does help though, because it's everything that I don't want to be.
Sure. Do you not know that already, though? Do you need to continuously binge their content to know that?
He says the spine is an engine.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
This is what I mean, though. Like, you know, you wouldn't come out with something like that because you know better, so you don't need to binge his content.
He also made, like, weird maraca type things that he, like, did little jogs with, and he's saying it helps with fucking force.
This isn't a David Weck episode.
He's a weirdo. Honestly, if you want to laugh, go and look at David Weck's page. The guy's a fucking clown. You heard it here first. Come out.
But then look at him. He's getting us talking about it, and is that the point?
Well, I don't know, because like,
yes, I think
well, no, because if someone does something and you know it's dog shit and people are talking about it, does that mean that doesn't mean that it's good?
No, but the point is, some people do that it's like a marketing tool.
Look what Hitler did.
How are we? Right, where are you going with this?
Well, just because he did what he did doesn't mean everybody. Doesn't mean it's like
people talk about him though. If his intention,
that's nothing he did. Well, yeah.
No, but if his intention was to get more eyes on him, like David Weck probably is, to try and sell his product, whatever it is.
Yeah, but the product's dog shit.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact the marketing works.
Yeah, but why?
Moving swiftly on.
We need a Hunger Games for everyone that goes on to like reality TV shows because they're part of the problem.
No, we don't.
We do.
Alas, understanding the difference between training and exercise is going to be the first.
What's the difference, guys?
Do you want to talk about it? What you think the difference is?
I'm out of focus
training?
Again.
Oh, the camera is not camera.
Don't touch the camera. Don't touch the camera. Don't touch the camera. Don't touch the camera.
I don't think we're touching it. We need to like go out. Let it focus on my hand.
Okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world if we're a bit blurry. What the fuck? What are you doing?
Do you not see YouTubers do this? They put the hand over like when.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, I'll talk. Otherwise, people are going to hear a minute of us just putting our hands over the camera.
Okay.
So yeah, whole episode is the difference on training versus exercise. So we need to define those two. I interpret it, and then I'll go, and then you can agree or you can add some stuff. But I think my definition will be so perfect you won't need to add anything.
I hope it's spot on.
So I interpret exercise as I'm having a
exercise.
I'm having a stroke. I am not awake.
This is what happens when you try to get Alex's brain to function in the morning rather than the evening. He's just not on high alert. But
I can know it's like the hamsters at half speed on the wheel at the minute.
Buffering.
Anyway, training versus exercise. So exercise would be, how I interpret it, is like just turning up, getting a bit hot, getting a bit sweaty, getting a bit out of breath, that kind of thing. There's no real goal, there's no real purpose other than just to move. Whereas training is actually having some kind of structure, some kind of goal, and it's making sure that your training is reflecting that goal. So you want to get jacked, you want to get stronger, you want to run a marathon, you want to swim, do this, do that. All your training would be reflecting that, so you're actually turning up for a purpose. Whereas exercise is just rocking up and being like, yeah, I'm moving a bit. I think, in my opinion, everyone should make the transition from exercise to training. Now, like, obviously me and Han, like, we both do powerlifting. Han does marathons, half marathons, athletics, fucking walking on the moon. She does everything. So, like, even though we are like, quote unquote, like, competitive in what we do, I still think in the higher, like, on that scale of training, even if you like don't want to be a competitive sports person, you don't want to do a marathon, swimming, backflips, gym, whatever it is, you can still have goals of, I want to be a little bit stronger, I want to be a bit fitter, I want to be a bit healthier. If it's like the diet side, you want to, rather than just, you know, eating food or dieting, you actually give a fuck about what's going in. It's like I'm trying to change my body composition, that kind of stuff. So you're going in with a purpose rather than just rocking up, because exercise will not take you that far. Like, if you're sedentary and you've done nothing, it will do. And obviously there's all of the mental health side, like benefits of moving, which I'm not disagreeing. No, we're all for that. But to actually, like, all the people that you see that you look up to that are strong, that have, you know, that are in shape, that are doing these things, their training is structured in a way to reflect their goals. And I think even if you're not like super into it, like that way, you can still have a little goal
Yeah, and I think the
to
reason
get you
you
into it.
were saying that is because I have the opinion that, like, there's nothing wrong with exercising, and if
No.
you don't particularly care about getting stronger, fitter, faster, and you're literally just moving to look after your mental health, look after your general physical health, and just understand that getting some daily movement in each day is going to benefit you in some way, then that is absolutely fine. Like, you don't have to train, of course, like, no one has to do anything, but what Alex is trying to say is that even if your goal isn't like a super ambitious, like, athletic endeavor, if you will, it's still good to follow a training program, because you're going to be able to monitor some sort of progression, naturally feel more motivated, naturally enjoy the process a little bit more, because you can see your hard work paying off, and it just keeps things actually productive, so you know you're using your time effectively and not just sort of pissing in the wind.
And I think those two things aren't excluded. Like, they're not like boxes that you have to stay in. Like, I know for a lot of the people, or some of the people I've got when I coach them in person, a lot of them come just because they want to, you know, they're middle
You
aged.
just want some accountability, really.
Well, it's not even that. They're middle aged. They want to. They know that exercise is good because it means that you're going to be independent for longer if you improve your, you know, your fitness a bit. But when they come in, it's not like they want to train. It's not like they have a specific goal. It's just, I want to get a bit better. So I'd say they're more in the box of exercising. But I've recently had um one of my clients, she came with that kind of thing where she was like, I just want, it's like, I'm trying to put me first. I want to get a bit better. And I've been working with 6 months, and we've like recently made the transition into more like strength training stuff where I was like, oh, how do you feel about, like, actually, obviously we were doing stuff and you're improving, but how would you feel about like lifting for a heavy set of 8 or a heavy set of whatever? And that has transitioned to last week. She did a heavy single on a trap bar and a heavy single on the bench press. And that at the beginning, she even said like that this was something I would never even have thought that I would be interested in, because she made that quite clear at the beginning, I think, because it's quite, she's like, just like, you know, like, cause I coach her son as well, and he's into like his lifting, like he's always done sport, and so she was like, I don't want to do what he does. I know you program him for strength training and da da da. And I was like, yeah, fine, whatever, because when you're getting new people in, you've got to make it fun for them,
Yeah,
because the main thing is consistency. Like, I'm not going to force my agenda down someone's throat.
Yeah.
That's a very graphic analogy, but we'll move from that. But yeah, and then she's loving it. Because it's setting those little goals. So next time we come around, it's like, cool, you hit this number on this exercise. Now let's try and fucking beat that. And she's made that transition from actually just being a bit passive about it to actually giving a fuck about what she's doing, and it's really cool to see.
And this was
really
something
cool.
that I think I was telling you about earlier in the week, is that I'd had a really exciting call with one of my clients this week actually as well, and we were talking about like goal setting and how she was happy with the progress and everything, like I do with all of my clients every month. But she was sort of saying actually she was surprised. Okay, so for context, like when she started as nutrition only and only wanted to focus on weight loss and just feeling healthier and, you know, have a clue with what she was doing with her diet, relationship with food, that sort of thing. Absolutely fine. She made awesome progress very, very quickly. And then she started to decide, like, actually, I'd be kind of keen to get into the exercise side of things. So, you know, we expanded her program to reflect that. And she made it very clear at the beginning that she was just not, in her words, she was not a gym girl. And she was like, I don't know if you're going to hate me for that, because I know you love it. And I was like, of course, absolutely not. As Alex said, like, we don't push our agenda down anyone else's throats. And you have a right to obviously do whatever you want. Like, we can still help you, even if it's not the way we would do it personally.
Yeah.
However, fast forward, how many months now since February? What are we?
Jeez, don't ask me. March,
November.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 8 to 9 months.
Eight months down the line. And we are now in the gym for the first time, like training in the gym, and about to introduce a deadlift into her program, which again isn't necessary for everybody, but she has now kind of got that bug and realized that actually this newfound confidence that she's got, this newfound experience in the gym, enjoying moving her body, enjoying pushing her limits, and realizing that she can do things that she never thought she could do before has kind of like ignited this spark to love training in a way that she didn't think she ever would. And I think, I don't know if you agree, but like that is probably the most rewarding part of our job. And it's not about how heavy can you lift or like
No.
what number do you reach on the scale. It's helping people realize that actually they can achieve so much more than what they think, and following some sort of structured training plan, which is again why we are such big advocates for it, is super important, because it helps you realize this, and understanding the gravity of what this lifestyle has on other areas of your life and how it bleeds into all of that is literally life-changing. Not to be dramatic or anything, but it is.
Yeah.
And we understand the gravity of that, so we obviously want you to understand the gravity of that, because everything changes when you do.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like, people see lifting weights as being, you know, some kind of jack bearded tattooed monster, and it's like either you're not a lifter, you're not into the gym, or you're the fucking roid-headed freak. When actually, again, going back to this client as well, like she's doing this not because, like, yes, the like lifting some weight, you know, getting stronger and lifting some stuff is a cool little side quest now because she's discovered that. But like, she'll come back and be like, in 6 months' time, her shoulders feel better.
Yeah.
She can move her shoulder blades now and they don't feel like all gunked up and shit. Like when she works in a bit of an office thing, it's like moving upstairs. Her knees don't hurt. Moving water jugs, like when they're like saying, "Oh, I can lift this now," because the stuff we're doing is like, well, it's more than what that would be. Whereas 6 months before, it's like her joints hurt. Moving heavy stuff was exhausting or like very laborious. Whereas now she can do those everyday things, and it's not even like, doesn't even have to think about it. I can walk up this. It's like if it's a choice between walking up the stairs or taking a lift because your knees are in that much pain. And in 6 months, you can turn that around, and now you can walk up and down. Like, isn't that a massive thing?
Exactly. It's the same with the client I literally said. Like, she understood the importance of eating well and moving consistently, and she's actually just started her career as a doctor. So, like, that can be physically demanding, obviously, depending on what ward you're on. You can be literally shifting patients, you know, moving them from bed to bed, having to pick up heavy things. And she's also conscious that she's hypermobile. So she was always a little bit, or lacked confidence in that area, because she knew that she was more prone to injury, and understood that she needed to get stronger in order to help that. But then knowing how to bridge that gap and actually seeing it pay off is different. So now that she's seen that and it's helping, and she's like, oh, I can do these things and not have to constantly second guess myself or think, shouldn't I do that? Like, no, I can, because I've trained for this. You know, just going into the gym and thinking like, oh, I'm going to get a really strong deadlift. It's not just about the deadlift. It's like, okay, how does that carry over into other areas of your life, and what are you now able to do? I feel like this could so easily go down the tangent of like becoming a functional fitness episode.
No.
Because people are like, deadlifts aren't functional. Like, what do we need to do that for? But yeah, trigger you with that one. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I think we've defined. No.
To sum that up, I'm saying to sum that up.
Functional fitness.
Being stronger is never going to be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's never going to.
And in order to do that, you have to follow a training plan. You can't just wing it and exercise.
No one said, "Oh no, being strong was a detriment."
Fuck, why did I waste all that time getting strong?
Yeah, God.
Said no one ever.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, right, we've waffled on that one. So the second point we're going to cover is why you may not be seeing progress, which is kind of like you see with a lot of like the beginners to intermediates, maybe.
Yeah.
People getting into it. It's like you get into it, but you don't understand.
Or their progress stalls, and they're like, I've been doing this for so long, it was paying off. Now I'm not seeing the same results. What's going on?
What should they be doing? Why is it stalled? Well, we're going to tell you why it might have stalled. There are some bullet points. We're going to cover the bullet points.
First one being, you're not tracking your progress. If you are just going into the gym, relying on your memory to know what exercises you did, how many reps you did, what load you did, not taking any videos, like you're going to have no idea where you should or shouldn't be at this point in your training journey, because sometimes I don't even remember what I had for breakfast in the morning. Like, I'm not going to remember what I did months ago, weeks ago, whatever it is. Would you?
We're all a bunch of Dories over here.
Yeah, exactly. We're Dories. And it's fine to be a Dory. Like, don't put that pressure on yourself. Track your freaking workouts. You're putting that effort in. Yeah,
there's apps. If you don't like using apps, you buy a little book and
pen and paper.
I used to do.
Yeah.
I love the old, messenger pigeon smoke signals type way of doing it.
I also love a notebook because it means you can switch your phone off, literally put it on Do Not Disturb, put your playlist on or whatever.
Digital detox.
Yeah, well, it is, and then you can focus, and you're not wasting time, wasting, your rest periods, just doom scrolling.
Or even notes on your phone. Like, there's if you don't want to pay for a notebook or an app, you've literally got your phone there. You've got the notes app on your phone. Like, there is no excuse to not write stuff down. Like, you've got options. Like, a notebook doesn't cost anything. Well, it does,
Essentially,
but-
you need data to be going off this
Yeah.
sort of thing, and it doesn't
Well-
need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be graphic. It just needs to be
as we know,
basic data. What are you seeing progress over?
regardless of what you're doing, like, progressive overload is how you get better. Like, and that's basically a fancy way of saying over a long period of time, you have to be running quicker or running further. You have to be swimming quicker or further. You have to be lifting slightly heavier. Whatever it is, you need to be making it a bit more challenging and progressing. How are you supposed to know what you did last week and keep that trend going up if you can't remember the weights you did, the time you ran, the distance you ran or swam or whatever? So it's like having, like Hannah said, having all that data down means that you can go, like, I did last week on bench press, I did 30 kilos and I did it for 8. So that means I can go heavier. Oh, I'll do 32. If you don't have that reference, how the fuck are you supposed to know week on week?
It also means that you can like review your progress objectively, because there's so many weeks where I will go into the gym and I'll think that moved, like that squat moved horrendously, or that felt shit, or like that exercise was really rough. And I can look back and I'm like, actually though, even if it felt horrendous, you lifted heavier for more reps. So you're still making progress, even if it felt shit, because you're going to have so many different external factors going on in your life every single week, whether that be due to sleep, stress, work, social life, family, whatever it is, that is going to impact your training and your nutrition. But if you've got no way of monitoring what's going on, you're never going to be able to pinpoint what you could do differently to help keep you progressing in the right direction.
But also, it's nice to have a record of stuff because you can look back to see where you started, especially if it's your start of your journey, and you're walking in there on day one, you're like, oh, everything feels really heavy and it feels really shit, and I'm never going to get to where I am. And then in 6 months' time, you're doing double, triple what you started with, and you look back and go, oh shit, I have got better. I have made progress. So it's a nice way to be like, this is,
keep you motivated.
As cliche as it is, this is where I started, bro.
Yeah.
Look where I am now, man.
It is. Everyone wants to make those little reels where you're like, this is where I started, this is where I am now.
Hard work, dedication,
this is what happens when you commit to the commit to the cause.
Yeah, man.
We're joking, we know not everyone's like that. We're just self-absorbed content whores. Another point we noted down was having no variation in your training plans. So we can actually, I guess we could talk about this now. This is probably your realm if you want to talk about a little bit of periodization, because obviously this matters. And this is what kind of is the foundation of a training plan, understanding like where that variation is coming from.
Triggers me so.
But like, okay, before you go on that tangent, just hold your thought.
Yep.
But within your training plan, you need to be having some level of variation. Now, that doesn't mean every single plan needs to be different every single week. It shouldn't look different every single week, but you need to be making sure that, after a period of time, these exercise selection or the exercises you are selecting are relevant to your goal, are relevant to your progress, and you are getting variation in there, and it's very much applicable to you and your goals. And if you're not doing that, if you're just being very generic, if you're just keeping things the same every single week for months on end, don't be surprised when your progress stalls or you plateau and you think, well, why? Because this worked once upon a time. So do you want me to let your dog out?
Ooh. No, I think she's just chewing a chew.
She just growl. Oh, okay.
I think if we let her out, it's going to be more catastrophic than keeping her in.
Okay, I could just hear her growling under this thing.
No, she's chewing a chew.
Yeah,
so
okay, that's fine. I didn't know she
right,
out.
Periodization.
Let's get into it.
Building blocks of how you actually set up a training program. There are 4. If you are not doing one of the 4, your program is just fucking guesswork and you're just lumping a load of shit together. If you're more of a visual learner, I did a post on this, so you can go on my page and check that out. Shameless plug.
At Nerdy Strength Coach.
Yeah. So there's 4 different ways. If you look at the top people, like, again, we'll kind of do a little whatever, but if you, like, all 4 work. There are biases, and I have my opinions on there, or some of them are better than others, but all 4 work to a degree. And
we won't go into that today.
Okay.
Just talk.
So you've got linear, which is basically a whole thing of as volume comes down, intensity goes up. So you might start off like week 1, 3 sets of 10, week 2, 3 sets of 8, week 3, 3 sets of 6. And as the volume's coming down, weight's going up. Really simple progression, really good for beginners because it's dead easy. An example of that would be 5-3-1, Jim Wendler's 5-3-1, which is a really basic like strength program, like a 3-week wave followed by a deload and then you rinse and repeat. It's all over the internet. So like it's a really beginner friendly one. And then you do a load of accessories after. You've got block, which is you basically spend a period of time focusing on different qualities. So you might do like a 4-week muscle building block, you might do a 4-week strength training block, you might do a 4-week power block. Not a fan, but I won't go into that one.
It's an option.
It's an option. You've got undulating, where you're waiving like loads of intensities, either daily or weekly. So you've got DUP or what's the other one? daily undulating and weekly undulating.
Mhm.
So that could be like within a week, you have like a heavy, light, medium day for your bench, squat, lift, or whatever. And then you've got, should I give an example of how that would look?
Yeah.
So you could like do 3 heavy singles. Like on your Monday, you do like 3 heavy singles at 90%. On the second day, you do like 3 sets of 10, so it's more hypertrophy stuff. And then the day you do like 5x5, which is like kind of bridging the gap. So it's like you're getting, or you're hitting all those different rep ranges and those different like, high, medium, low things throughout a week. Yeah, that's the one. So it's kind of got recovery built in, but again, I won't, because I could talk about this for ages. And then you've got conjugate or concurrent, which basically is about training multiple qualities at the same time, which is my bias.
I think we both
Just being
prefer this one because it's relevant to how we train and what we do.
But like, so every single program that is out there will follow one of those 4 methods of periodization. If it doesn't, it's a load of shit, and it's just someone's just throwing a load of stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks. Any of your favorite powerlifters, strongmen, influencers, will be following, their programs will be based on that. And then once you know, obviously, if you're a nerd and you like this kind of shit, you can look those up, and then it's very easy to spot those patterns in programs. You can look at a program and go, oh, that's linear. Oh, that's block. Oh, that's conjugate. Oh, that's undulating.
But the point, I think, about all of this is understanding that dependent on which method you decide you want to follow, it's going to involve a level of variation, which is crucial to progress.
So look, if we're talking purely, we'll talk from a strength training perspective. The variation is necessary because, like, as you develop, your strengths and weaknesses will change.
Your body will also get used to certain stimuli.
I am going to touch on that, but yes.
Okay.
She's right. Say like your bench press, you might have a weakness that's weak off the chest. So say every single time you get an inch off your chest, you stall. You then do some specific variations to address that weak point. After 6 weeks, you fix that, but then your weak point might present itself a bit higher up. Your main secondary movements or stuff need to be different to target the weak point, because if all you're doing is training the one further down that was more like, say, I know it's very black and white, but for the argument of this, more a chest weakness, and then it's higher up and it's more a tricep weakness. Mm-hmm. If you're doing the stuff that's always chest and it's not addressing your triceps, why would your weak point be getting better? So the variation needs to be in there. The other side that like Hannah was on about, I think is more applicable to like hypertrophy and muscle building stuff, is that ideally, but again, like there's so many individual differences, like there's a whole thing about introverts, extroverts. Introverts can typically stick with the same thing. They don't need as much Jesus Christ, I launched a pen. Mental stimulation, whereas extroverts might need more variation because they're more like, but generally we want to keep an exercise in and milk it for all it's worth. We want to keep it in there until you literally have used it all,
Sorry, I was just read to what you said, introverts and extroverts.
Yeah. I mean, I heard about this psychologically.
No, but it's interesting because you've just described exactly the approach I have to take when I'm dealing with neurodivergent clients.
Introverts, like me, king autism, if someone gives me something, I'm quite happy to run with it for a long time. Whereas you see people that are more extroverted, they need more constant
I didn't know that
change.
was to do with the introvert-extrovert theory.
Well, it's personality types, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but I've seen it, and it's true because you have some people that are quite happy just to do the same shit, and there's other people that need more stimulation. Anyway, for like hypertrophy stuff,
what about mental stimulation there rather than physical? But it's a valid point.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where you want to keep an exercise in, use it, milk it for what it's worth, and then when you stall on it, sub that exercise out for something that does exactly the same thing, rinse and repeat, get really strong at them all, and you're going to be jacked. On the flip side, like Hannah was saying at the beginning, we don't want variation in there for variation's sake. Like if you're changing your exercise plan every single week, how the fuck are you going to get better at anything? Yeah. Like, that whole old school bodybuilding mindset of like, shock the muscle, bro, keep it guessing, man, is a crock of shit. Like, because also when you introduce new exercise in, the first adaptations you get might not necessarily be because you've got strong. It's the skill component. You just need to learn how to do the exercise. So, and that takes time. If you haven't done an exercise for a bit, it might take 2 or 3 weeks before you get, like, how many times have you put an exercise in, you go, oh, this feels a bit weird at the beginning, and it takes you 2 or 3 weeks to go, oh, I remember how to front squat. If you're changing it every single time, you're not going to get any of that skill acquisition before you can actually make use of the exercise that you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think that covered variation.
Yeah, I think
Sorry,
we covered
I went
that
off on a tangent.
That's okay. The final point that we've noted down for this, actually there was 2, but I think one we've kind of already covered. One being like your training doesn't align with your goals, and that's why you may not be seeing progress. So if you're training in a way that, I don't know, just to use a very simple, basic example, like if your goal is fat loss and you're not training in a way that supports fat loss, i.e. like you're trying to train I'm using this example because this is something that I see common with people I work with, but if your goal is fat loss and you're using running as your fat loss method and you're just continuously running more miles every single week, don't be surprised if fat loss doesn't come, because there are several considerations that need to be made around that. And I'm not going to go into the tangent, but running does not support It's not the best option for fat loss. Yes, it's a way of exercising. Yes, it's a way of burning calories, but it's not ideal. And especially when it comes to the strength training side of things, which everybody should be thinking of, by the way, if they are running, you need to be training your muscles in a certain way that also supports fat loss. Again, different. I won't go too much on it, but just understanding that that is a thing. The same way, like if you are training to get stronger, but you're never actually training heavy, lower rep exercises, don't be surprised if you can't lift heavy singles because you're never putting your body through that experience. And then the final point we wanted to make on this one is people that chase DOMs for the sake of just feeling like they've worked hard. That is not a significant measure of progress, nor should it be. Like, if anything, you don't want DOMs. Like, yes, DOMs are showing that your muscles have had to work, and if you're new to training, everybody is going to experience a level of DOMs, but as your body sort of gets used to it, as you get better at recovery, as your nutrition improves, those will become hopefully less and less. Again, you know, if you trial a new training block, or if you trial a new training program, you might get DOMs again, even if you're an experienced lifter. Like, I started a new block recently. Last week, I was so sore everywhere, and I've been training for years. It naturally happens when you do different exercises and, you know, you put your body through a different stimuli, but that's not how I measure progress, nor should it be for anyone. And that is not if anything, if that's something you're continuously having, it's indicative of poor recovery, which is hindering your progress. So don't be chasing DOMs thinking that that is you working hard, or that is you growing muscle, or that is you, you know, getting stronger, because that is, the two things aren't directly proportional. Anything to add on to that one?
No, it's just to say, like, especially with strength training, when we're trying to, like, lift heavy, if you've got DOMs, obviously soreness gets in the way of your ability to express, you know, force and all that kind of stuff. So you don't want your quads to be burning the next time you come to do a squat, and every single rep you're like, oh, fuck.
And if anything, you have to delay your training more because you need more rest time, which
Yes.
just means you've got less opportunities to get more.
I'd also say, like, from a
Sessions in.
potentially like a mental, psychological point of view, if you feel the need to constantly be chasing DOMs, I'd look at why you're doing that.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that today,
No.
though, because we're not therapy session.
No, but it's just something to be aware of. Like, you know, the whole fight. You know, when people say, like, don't use the gym as therapy.
Yeah.
Use therapy as therapy, dude. It's a nice outlet and everything.
It's therapeutic, but I don't think it should be a direct replacement for therapy.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
The next point of the podcast we want to talk about is how or what you should actually be considering to have effective training.
Yeah.
So we've bullet pointed some things here because this is what you need to be thinking about, keeping things nice and simple, short and sweet, nice and effective. So rule number 1. You obviously need to have a goal. Now, that doesn't have to be anything extreme. It doesn't have to be, I want to run a marathon. It doesn't have to be, I want to deadlift 2 times my body weight. It doesn't have to be, you know, I want to go and compete in XYZ. Like, it can be as simple as, I just want to be able to get into the gym and train consistently for X amount of times a week, and maybe be able to longer term run for 20 minutes. Or it could be, I just want to lift my body weight. Anything like that, it can, you know, break it down as to something that you think is actually relevant to what is going to motivate you. If you don't have that goal, there is no way you can reverse engineer any sort of relevant training program because you don't know what you're working towards. So this is why it's important. It doesn't have to be something crazy, but you do need to have something. From there, you then want to decide, what's your lifestyle looking like, to know how you can structure this training program. So how many days realistically can you consistently train for? Now, if you think, yeah, I can do 5, and at the moment you're training zilch, nothing, do not do that, because you are going to be setting yourself up for failure and a very high expectation that is going to be very hard to meet. And it's a conversation I actually had recently with one of my clients who's looking to get back into his training, and he was asking me, what's the best training program? Is it 3 days or is it 5 days? And I was like, well, what's your lifestyle looking like? How many days realistically can you train? Because to my knowledge, you've not been going to the gym at all for a few months. And he's a nutrition only client, by the way. And he said, yeah, that's right, but I think I can do 5. And I know he's a very ambitious client, and, you know, he sets himself to a high standard, and that's cool, but that's often what we see people do when they shoot themselves in the foot. You are better off structuring a 3-day training program that you can hit consistently every single week, allow for enough recovery, and then you can progress that week on week. You can then decide, I'm going to train 4 times a week, and then I'm going to train 5 times a week, if you can tick those boxes. But if you're going to set yourself a 5-day training program, then only be able to hit sort of 3, maybe 4 in a good week, you are going to be missing the opportunities where that structured program had accounted for certain training stimuli. So whether that be certain exercises or certain variations that Alex spoke about with the periodization models, if you're missing those days, then you're not doing the program. So there's no point making a program that's overly ambitious when you know it's not realistic. So understanding what that structure is going to look like for you is super important. And then, as what Alex said, talking about the variation side of things and the periodization, what's going to be appropriate for your goal. And then the same with when you're monitoring progression. So what we've all just said about tracking, variation, periodization, progressive overload, you need to make sure that you are making progression every single week, whether that be through load, whether it be through reps, volume, sets, that sort of thing, or whether it be through form, execution, tempo. There's a million and one ways you can improve your progression. The fourth point we've noted down is your recovery. So as I said before, making sure that you're not just accounting for when you can train, but also when can you recover. And you need to be having those days in throughout the week, ideally, where you are recovering. Otherwise, your training will tank and you will be chasing DOMs again, or you will be training with DOMs continuously because you're not allowing your time to recover. And the final point, I'm going to let you have your 2 pence on this, by the way, I just thought I'd run through this quickly, is feedback. So the point of tracking, as we said, is so you can either give yourself feedback, or your coach can give you feedback, or your mate can give you feedback if you need someone else to keep you accountable, and understanding, okay, this training block achieved XYZ. What do I need to do in order to improve on those strengths and weaknesses? How do I get closer to my goal? What did I learn? What can I take forward with me? So goal, structure, progression, focus on your recovery, and feedback. What would you like to add?
Yeah, I probably won't cover all of those things, but I had some thoughts as you were going through, so I'll
Go for it.
speak about them. I think the biggest thing that I like, the conversations I have with people when they're either getting into it or already have been doing it for a bit of time and they've kind of hit this wall, they've hit a plateau, is the goal aspect. Is that, like you were saying about reverse engineering, that's so important because a lot of people try and do, I don't know, you've got conjugate where you can do multiple qualities, but so many people try to do everything at once.
Mm.
It's just like break it down. It's like you're saying, everything should reflect your goal. Like you'll see people they'll come to me and they'll be like, right, okay, so what's your goal? Want to get stronger? Want to get jacked? Cool, awesome. Show me your program, and it's just full of shit. There's so much stuff in there that is just fluff, that is just a waste. And when I say to them, like, why is this in here? It's like, because I want to do lateral raises. It's like, okay, cool. I get that you want to, and there is a time we can add some fluff stuff at the end, but the main bulk of your training should be the important stuff that's feeding back into your goal, right? So I'm saying, like, why is this in here? Oh, I like it. Oh, it's whatever. It's like, okay.
I saw them do it on their workout, and they've got big tits, so I thought I'll go for it.
Jesus Christ! I
was thinking of a proper gym bro then, and thinking like building a chest, and I just
I've seen my favorite lifter do it. I've seen this and seen that. It's like you need to stop looking at what everyone else is doing because you're just laughing at tits.
Your reaction, Jesus fucking Christ!
But yeah, and there's a big thing as well with the whole, like, people will try and emulate. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
their
like
favorite lifter.
mirror.
Yeah, try and emulate their favorite lifters, and it's like you are you. You are built the way you're built. You are the whatever type, however far along your journey you're at. Everything needs to be for you. When it comes back to like the variation and progressive overload and hitting weak points and everything, it's like everything in your program should be reflecting that goal. You're trying to get stronger on bench, cool. Make sure everything in there is doing it. Like you can have, if and I do it with some of mine, like they'll do their strength bit, they'll do their secondary movement, they'll do 4 or 5 accessories, and then they'll do some fluff stuff at the end. Like that fluff stuff at the end, in the grand scheme of stuff, doesn't really matter. But if they want to do some forearms because it makes them feel good, or they want to do some,
they're almost like fillers. So if you've got more time to be able to do accessories that are going to complement your goal, awesome. But or if you just want something to make the session enjoyable and it keeps you motivated to finish the session.
It's working with them. It's like, okay, so they've done some stuff potentially that they weren't sure about, they don't want to do. I've got to get them to buy in. So the compromise is, right, you do all the stuff I want you to do. You want to do your face pulls and your lat raises and your whatever at the end, fucking do that. That's absolutely fine. But it is going back to that whole goal. And then that kind of links in with the feedback where, as you're trying, I'm talking about it purely from like a strength training perspective, but you will know over time. I think like there's a guy called Dave Tate, Elite FTS, who did a really good video about this, so about accessory stuff. So check that out if you give a fuck about training, or message me and I'll send you the link. Where he's basically saying that, like, rather than thinking top down, think bottom up. Which accessory makes your secondary better, and what secondary makes your main movement better? And it should go through all of that, and you'll know, like, if you're someone, and let's say, fuck yeah, we'll just, again, being very general, say close grip bench is the thing that makes your bench press better. Well, what makes your close grip better? And it's that feedback. So over time, you will know there are some exercises that if you make better, generally, you will improve. What exercises build your main movement? And you only do that like you're saying, through the feedback. You fuck around with some blocks. You're cool to do a 6-week block of having this as my main secondary. Retest your max. Does it get better? No. Okay. Well, that probably shouldn't be in there. Let's try something else. But you only get back through that feedback and that data of doing it for a long period of time
Yeah.
and collecting that stuff and saying, here's a bank of exercises, and the ones that actually have carryover you want in more frequently, and the ones that don't, you don't want them in as
Yeah.
frequently, maybe just for a bit of novelty every now and again. But you only do that from sticking and, being consistent, having a proper structure, progressing, like literally going through all of these things, having that goal, having that proper structure, having the progression in. Are those secondaries getting better? Recovering enough, making sure you're eating, sleeping, what do you call it? I think stresses, your life
Yeah.
stresses, making sure you're in control of that, and then getting that feedback. And all those things together is basically how you have
A very
a
effective training program.
very effective training program. And it doesn't look sexy, and it doesn't look all.
It can look sexy. It depends on what you view as sexy.
I think
Some training plans I wrote, I thought, I like that.
I think some firm. But I mean, in terms of what I'm saying is, like, again, bashing fitness influencers again, because any opportunity I get, they will try and sell you that thing of like, oh, booty programs and tits out and whatever, the whole sex sells, and doing it with flashy, doing weird fucking jumps and backflips, whatever. When actually, keep it relatively simple. Have your goal, structure it well, progress it, recover, feedback, and that's all you need to do. But like, from our point of view, like, that doesn't sell. That's hard. But when you're basically trying to do all this, and it kind of looks sometimes it can look a bit like monotonous, because ultimately it's
what works.
But the stuff that's worked have been around for hundreds of years and they haven't changed. Just people try and repackage it and sell it to make it all.
Yeah.
I'm going off on a tangent.
But that's the point of this podcast. We're highlighting to you what works and what doesn't, so you can, cut through the bullshit and you can better understand how to get after your health and fitness goals.
A big takeaway that I want, because I see it as a massive problem, is when you're doing the whole effective training and you're structuring stuff, you are you. Do not try and copy someone else. Do not try and copy your favorite lifter. Don't even try and copy your mate, because the stuff that you will need, like me and Hannah both do powerlifting, right? What I need to make my lifts better is vastly different to what you need to make your lifts better, because we have different limb lengths. We've been training for different periods of time. We have different injury histories. We train slightly different. Everything is so individual. If I tried to copy her program, would it work for me? Probably not, because it's not got the stuff in there that I need specifically for me to make me better. And I think that's a massive pitfall that you see a lot of beginners go, is to go, oh, who's my favorite powerlifter?
You see that a lot in powerlifting specifically.
Oh, Dan Green was really strong. Let me go on whatever and look at Dan Green's. It's like, Dan Green's an elite level powerlifter that's been doing it for 15 fucking years. You're not an elite powerlifter. You're a beginner. What you need is so different to what he does. And that's a massive one I see, is that people try and copy or emulate other people. It's just like, dude, no, you need to figure out what you need and what works for you, and then do that for a long period of time.
Move on to the fourth and final, no, not final section, because we'll do a recap on this and what you need to be taking away from this podcast to smash your training moving forward. But the last bit we wanted to talk about was the mindset behind all of this, because it's not just about what is on paper or what you can shift weight-wise. Obviously, the psychological element plays a huge part. Understanding that or if you're listening to this and thinking like, I don't really know if this is relevant because I don't have any crazy goals, I don't really care to run long distance or lift super heavy. You don't need to be an athlete in order to be following a structured training program. And 9 times out of 10, we're all going to be in that same situation. So like, yes, we compete, but we're not like high level GB or like international. I was going to say international.
Someone's competed in gross.
But once upon a time, I wasn't. Like when I started, wasn't competing.
You trying to be modest.
But like,
some of us aren't international. Oh wait, I did shameless plug. I might have done Euros once upon a time. Oh yeah, I remember now.
Did that in June. I really didn't mean for that to go that way.
She did. That was 100%.
No, when we started following a training program, a structured, relevant, appropriate training program, we were just your day-to-day, basic, average gym goers. So not like, that's not to put us down. That's just like realistic, and that's what everyone starts as. Like you see these big time athletes, they're following structured training programs, and they weren't big time athletes at the point of the time when they started. So don't get in your head about thinking that you're an imposter or that you're shooting above your weight, or you're aiming for something that isn't relevant to you, because this is relevant and should be relevant to anyone who wants to see any sort of physical progress. The next point we noted about focusing on your mindset around this is the whole idea of chasing stimulation over sensation. So the example we wanted to use was, you see a lot of these influencers using fucking booty bands, fire hydrants, what are they called? Donkey kickbacks for growing glutes.
It's the one that really annoys me, is the one on the Stairmaster.
Just when you see people,
doing the kicks on the Stairmaster.
I always thought, oh my God, right. So I thought that was like a thing influencers spoke about. I was like, I have never seen someone go on a Stairmaster and kick their leg back. Like, who's doing that? Surely they're just doing this for clout, for content reach or whatever. No, I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. People are going on these Stairmasters, kicking their legs back, thinking that's going to get them a fat ass. I'm sorry to break it to you, darling. Whoever is listening to this, please listen to me and know that I hold your hand and I care for your glute growth.
What? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Glute growth.
I am Groot growth. I said Groot growth.
That's what I said.
Groot growth.
Glute growth. I do. I care. And I'm telling you this because I care. It's not going to work. But we are going to tell you what does work. However, people chase these exercises because they feel it burn. They feel it do something and they think, oh, that must be working that muscle group. Therefore, I must be getting a bigger muscle. And that's just not the case, because what you might be feeling is, yes, your muscle might be contracting, it might be getting a little bit of a lactic buildup, but there are so many other contributors to hypertrophy and getting stronger that need to happen in order to actually create that result. So don't just follow sensation, or that shouldn't be a thing that you're chasing at all. You should be chasing what is actually going to stimulate this muscle to grow and get stronger. So, for example, on the topic of glute growth, you want to be making sure that you are training your glutes through each different range, the lengthened, the shortened, the mid-range. You're training the different muscle groups within your glutes, and you're training them through heavier loads. And, what exercises you decide to do that could be something like a hinge to train them in the lengthened position. It could be something like a leg press. It could be something like a hip thrust for the shortened position and mid-range. Could be something like a 45-degree hip extension. You could be doing glute med kickbacks. All of these are going to train your glutes slightly differently, but all are necessary to see the growth. Also, I know what you wanted to say. I should probably just let you say it, unless you can't remember what you were going to say. You're going to talk about how you can't progressively overload a kickback or like a fire hydrant.
Yeah, I feel like I could have already talked about the other thing, but yeah, I think the other thing with like exercise as well is like saying a lot of people chase those sensation based.
It's fine for a newbie, right?
Yeah, but like
it just very quickly wears off.
One of the things we're looking at, like what makes a good and bad exercise, again, good and bad exercises need context, because a lot of exercises do have their place, and it's all context dependent. But in general, we want to make sure that we can load them, because again, if we're looking back at what's one of the key principles of progressing anything is progressive overload. A lot of bodyweight exercises, all those banded ones, like a fire hydrant, how are you going to progress that? What, do more reps and then what? You're going to do like 500 reps of fire hydrants? Well, we know that mechanical tension is one of the big drivers as well, which is load. You need to be lifting heavier stuff. Doing 500 reps isn't going to do shit. So we need to make sure the exercises we're choosing are actually, like how I was saying, serve the purpose of what we were trying to do here. We're trying to grow muscle. What we're trying to do here, we're trying to get stronger. And one of those key things is being able to load it. So a lot of these, like the McGill Big Three for spine stuff, that's a massive one, isn't it? You've heard the McGill Big Three?
Yeah, I just don't know if you're going on a tangent.
No, sensation. It's a sensation.
Okay.
Like, it's good for people that are like not used to lifting or gen poppy, but like how are you supposed to progress that? At some point you need to load your spine. It's the thing, isn't it, where it's like you've had a back injury. Okay, well, at some point you need to start using your back. You can't just be doing
You're never going to get a stronger back
and planks and fucking bird dogs. Because again, how do you load a bird dog? You can't. It might be good for those early stages of rehab, but at some point you have to start squatting and RDLing and doing deadlifts again, because those are the things that actually build those muscles. But that's like a big one, isn't it? McGill Big Three.
Oh, for sure. Another point is
enjoyment still matters,
but not at the cost of your progression.
So, like, I'm big on this, especially for beginners, right? One of the big issues that beginners have is because it's so new. I'm having a stroke.
The novelty.
So new to it that you have to get them to buy in, right? The biggest thing of it, like with this, is consistency. It doesn't matter how good the program is if you're not turning up. Initially, like when I'm trying to get people in, yes, you're trying to still teach them like movement patterns, but like make it fun, make it enjoyable for them, so they actually want to turn up to the gym, they actually want to train, right? This is mainly for still for some, like we were saying, like even with the guys I've got now, it's like, what's some exercises you'd like to do? Cool, we'll put some of that fluff stuff at the end.
Oh, there's still exercises I will request, or I specifically want in my plan to, because I enjoy it.
But if we're making that transition more from exercising to training,
which is the point of this podcast,
you have to realize that at some point you are going to have to do stuff that you do not necessarily want to do.
Bulgarian split squats, for example, they are a vile exercise,
but they are so fucking good for keeping knees and hips and everything healthy. That means that when you go to do an actual squat or a deadlift, you don't fall apart. How many people like doing Bulgarian split squats? Not a lot. lot. How many people would see that and probably do leg extensions instead? Probably a lot. But you at some
Who
point,
would then also fail to get any of the benefits
Yeah.
that a squat pattern would take them through, because leg extensions don't do that.
but if you want to start if you're making that transition to training and you have those goals, you're going to just have to accept the fact that to continue to make progress and to continue to get stronger or faster or whatever you're doing, whatever it is, there is going to be stuff you have to do that you don't necessarily like, because if you zoom out and go bigger picture, what is the bigger picture? I want to get stronger at squat, bench, and deadlift, or I want to run a marathon, or I want to do this triathlon. There's going to have to be stuff in there to make you better that you don't necessarily like.
But you'll like it once you get
Yeah.
better, and then you'll think, oh, you know what, that was worth
But
it.
that doesn't mean that I don't include stuff that, like you were saying, we still request stuff that, like, if someone gives me a choice and goes, what do you want to do for your biceps? Oh, well, I prefer this curl to that curl. Cool, stick that in. Because ultimately, deep is it? I mean, it is.
It's not even that. There's
But-
like, if there isn't a specific thing you need to be focusing on, it, and it is as simple as, okay, you just need to be training this muscle group through this range. There's several exercises almost for anything that can be selected for that. And when it's that simple, it doesn't actually really matter. So you can think, okay, what do you enjoy? There are certain, contexts where you think, no, you need to be doing this exercise because that is relevant to your goal.
Do I give away a secret? I could try a PT secret here.
What?
Sometimes I give people the illusion of choice.
No, I think, yeah, you're just exposing us now, but that's cool.
Anyway, yeah, if you're a beginner, I think enjoyment really does matter, because we're trying to make it a habit, we're trying to build it, we're trying to make it fun, right? But at some point you have to make that switch to be like, am I just turning up to exercise, or do I want to train? And if you want to train, you're going to have to do stuff that you don't necessarily like. But that's not the whole training plan. It might be that in a session there's just the one exercise. Like you really like your squats, you really like your hinges, and it comes to your accessories and the split squats. So maybe there's like one exercise out of 6 that you don't like in that day, but that one exercise is the key to making sure you don't fall apart when you go to do the stuff that you actually like to do. Midgie?
I wonder if the mic's picking that up.
Yeah, can you?
That's Alex's dog in the background.
She barking.
Looking through the window at people.
Yes.
Alas, bridging the gap was the last point we noted, but I think we've already spoke about that.
Blurry. I know.
Just taking everything that we've mentioned into consideration and knowing that it doesn't have to be a 0 to 100 approach. Like, just start to consider these things, start to slowly implement them in your plan if you're looking to go from exercising to training with intent. And it doesn't need to be an all or nothing approach. It shouldn't be, if anything. And understanding that it takes time, but adding a little bit in each week is going to massively help improve your training. So overall, wrapping this up, which we've actually done a pretty good time, nearly sub-hour. Key takeaways. What would you say to people if someone came to you and was like, look, I'm looking to actually start training with intent. What top 3 things should I be focusing on?
Are we talking beginner or someone that actually gives a fuck about training?
Oh, no, I said someone who's coming to you who's wanting to transition from exercising to training.
I would say make sure you have a clear goal, because everything is going to reflect that goal. I would, there's so many. I'd make sure that the training plan that you're doing is properly structured to that goal. So the stuff that's in there isn't because it's other stuff that you like people doing. It's the stuff that's relevant to you. Oh God, it's just, you can't really.
One more, yes, you can. Top 3.
Probably progressive overload, because that's how you make progress over a long period of time. You need to make sure you're improving. And like in the short term, you might have weeks where, I know we spoke about this on other podcasts, where you might have some dips because life and whatever, but as long as we zoom out and we look at that graph and over 12 months, the line is trending up, that's fine. If you zoom into certain segments, it might look a bit up, down, because shit happens, but zoom out. Is that line trending up? Yes. You're using progressive overload, you're making progress. As well as recovery and everything else, but I can't mention that because there's only 3.
I think the last, I don't know what my top 3 would be. The one has to be, make sure you pick a goal, because so many people think, I don't have a goal, I don't really care, I just want to get stronger. Pick something specific, because that's going to make your life so much easier. What would be the other ones? I think one of my points would have to be talking to people, because the more you talk to people who are where you want to be, because you are going to be able to take information from them. You are going to be able to take, tips from them, tricks from them, and it's going to help you feel more confident, because ultimately all of this is going to be a bit of trial and error in the beginning stages, especially if you don't have a coach or a PT and you're just doing this by yourself. Your confidence it's true. Like
this is a shameless plug to get a coach or a PT, by the way.
Well, it's not. Everyone knows that makes, that's half the reason people get coaches and PTs, because it takes away the guesswork and it just means that they don't have to think for themselves.
I just try and wind you up whenever I can.
And they have that confidence to know that what they're doing is right. But also we appreciate that that's not an option for everyone.
Yes.
So again, the point of this podcast is to make that information accessible to everyone.
We don't gatekeep over here.
No. So, if you you're going to feel a bit nervous in the beginning stages, and that's normal, and you want to be focused on just building your confidence, which is going to come from consistency and doing something actively to get a result. Whether that result is the one that you want doesn't matter, because everything is feedback in the early stages. Well, to be fair, anything is feedback throughout the whole point, but you get what I mean. So, talk to people who are where you want to be, like ask them questions. Don't be afraid to reach out. Like, chances are everybody who was in that position was where you were once upon a time. And I don't know about you, but I would be more than happy to talk to a stranger about progressing on their journey.
That's what I've done.
Because
I've reached out to reached out to several people on Instagram.
But the point is, people don't do that because they feel scared or they feel shy because they're like,
we've
I
all
don't
done it massively. We've spoken to people. We see coaches or people that like in our positions that we look up to them. Hey, dude, like,
but we don't care because it's like, yeah, cool. Like I would have asked this when I was in your position, so cool. I want to help you.
We're here as well. Just drop us a message.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're more than happy to help.
Yeah,
we put Q&A boxes actually all the time on our story.
First of all, follow the page, because you should follow the page so you can actually see the stories.
Yeah, so but then we often put Q&A boxes, so like throw it in there and we will answer it for you in detail. We
just love it.
Yeah,
we're here for it.
Ask people is the point I was making. My third point, I think, is managing your expectations and understanding that this progress takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but also understand that when you are looking to get into an intentional training program, you're better off. If you're not sure where to go with it, i.e. like how many days to train, what you should be focused on, you're better off undershooting and working your way up than putting the bar too high and making it inaccessible and risking damaging your confidence and motivation, because that is ultimately going to be the foundation of what keeps you going every single week. And if you don't have that, then you're going to find everything else really hard. Example, like if you're looking at what weight should I be selecting, you're never going to start too light. You can always have room to grow. Whereas if you're just chasing the weight and you end up hurting yourself or you end up failing weight really early on in your training program, then it's going to be demoralizing. It's going to be a little bit frustrating. And again, you're going to risk damaging your motivation. So same with exercises. Don't pick super complicated ones if you're not confident on executing them. Like, don't set yourself a 5-day training split if you're currently not training at all. Do, 2 to 3 if you need to, and then work your way up. Don't give yourself super long training sessions if you only have like 45 minutes to a 60-minute window to be able to train. Keep the session simple so you can actually train with intent and make sure you're getting out what you need to be getting out. You can always do more, but you're going to risk damaging a lot more if you have to strip back and do less, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's it. Anything else to add?
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, all of that. Like, follow, comment.
We upload this on YouTube and Spotify, and we are looking to move into Apple Music as well.
But that
was just a little bit more difficult than we realised. So we are eventually going to be on that platform, but at the moment, just on Spotify, on YouTube, and obviously on Instagram, the B3 Podcast.
Yeah, man.
Make sure you drop us a follow. Ask us any questions. Make sure you like and comment. Let us know what you think. If you think it's dog shit, tell us. We can take constructive criticism, but I might cry.
Dog shit's not constructive. Say it's dog shit because...
Yeah, that's... Don't just say it's dog shit.
Don't say it's dog shit. Say it's dog shit because...
And then we'll listen to you.
Alex is too fidgety and can't stay still on camera.
That's so fine. Half the people probably won't even watch the visual. Anyway, we should have angled it there.
Oh, we should have dressed up for Halloween. We should have worn costumes. Then we could have checked if people would have
watched it. What were we dressed up as?
Oh, I need to.
Well.
You could say something out there. Nothing.
I don't know where you're going with that.
No, it's best that we
And
don't.
even though this podcast is labelled as explicit, we're going to cap it there. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, night, morning, whatever time you're listening to this. And stay tuned for the next episode, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Later.
Peace.
Bye.